Today we have With Blood Comes Cleansing. Pretty much everybody from the band. I think there's just one guy missing, right, guys?
Right.
But we pretty much have the whole band. This might be the largest interview we've ever had. There's 6 people on this call right now. This is a massive. This has got to be the biggest interview we've ever done, right, Cullen?
I think so. In terms of the number of people online, absolutely.
This is this is
We
this is
rolled
quite a
deep.
bit. Hopefully our internet is not going to just like shut down because there's a lot of bandwidth that we're using up right now. But guys, we're super stoked to chat a little bit more about With Blood Comes Cleansing's history, and then you guys getting back together playing Furnace Fest. Obviously, we'll want to talk about that and whatever else we come up with. But yeah, with that said, how are you all doing? I know Michael, you're just like next to the ocean, so of course you're doing well. But how is everybody in Georgia doing?
Pretty good. Lots of
Hot.
storms today. So thunder and lightning, hot.
Yeah, very hot, I'm sure.
It's hot down here too, man. 120-degree heat index.
Oh,
Last 3 days.
You definitely need to
Gosh.
be in the ocean then.
Yeah, no choice.
Salt life, right?
It's not like the brand.
You are the brand, man.
I will say, like, out of all the people in the band to become like the surfer dude, of course you would be the one, Michael.
Yeah, my kids, man, they like surfing. So I put my son on a skateboard when he was young. Fell in love with it. Now they compete in surfing. He's got a contest in the morning, so
Wow, sweet.
yeah, nonstop, man.
Jeez.
How does that work? Is it something where they is there judges? Is that how it would work?
Yeah,
Or
like
it-
this is a Rip Curl Grom search, so it'll be like legit, like paid judges, big deal.
Dang.
Vendors, whatnot, at all. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, good luck to them.
Yeah.
Nice. Wonderful. Well, let's just get into it. Let's talk about With Blood Comes Cleansing. Let's talk about some of the early history. I know a couple of you guys started, just recently with the band, but a number of you are original to the band. And so can you talk a little bit about how the band kind of came together? I would imagine you guys, for the most part, I could be wrong, but I'm guessing you guys were probably like a bunch of high school dudes that were just like wanting to make some heavy music and you just get together and start making heavy music. But maybe there's more of a story to it than that.
Well, also, and going along with those lines, we've had a number of bands on recently. Showbread. Who
I
else,
was just
Mason?
telling them this too. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Showbread,
you were.
Chasing Victory, Becoming the
Yeah.
Archetype, and now With Blood Comes Cleansing. 4 Georgia bands in like 5 interviews that we.
Well, and they all talked about how influential you guys were to them and basically taking them under their wing. So under your wing. So just tell us how the band got started and what have you guys been up to here?
Well, I guess how we started is much more convoluted than that, actually. It's quite a story. So I guess go way back to me and Michael were in a different band with Chris from Chasing Victory, actually. Chris left that band, joined Chasing Victory. They ended up with that band kind of dismantling. I then was just kind of hanging out down in Camilla, Bainbridge, Georgia area, Albany, Georgia area with Chris and Chasing Victory. And I met these guys in a band called Betrayed with a Kiss. They needed a bass player at the time, so I joined that band. Within probably 2 weeks or so, maybe 3, we went on tour. Right after that tour, we actually got a cease and desist letter in the mail from some band in like Illinois saying, "Hey, that's our name, bro. You can't use it. You got to stop. We're going to sue you." And we're like, "Oh, okay." So we kind of were thinking about, well, what are we going to do now? So we kind of I went home back to Auburn, Alabama, and was eating with one of my buddies, Josh Lafayette. And he
at a Waffle House, right?
It was actually at a pita pit.
There's a lot of Waffle House that goes on.
A lot
though.
of Waffle House.
Sure.
But yeah, this was just so happened to be at a pita pit. We were having an off day. But yeah, so, we were hanging out there, and I was kind of telling him about, man, we're about to get sued from these dudes. Like they're like a bar band in Illinois or something. I don't know. And he was like, well, I was going to name this metal band With Blood Comes Cleansing, but the guy I was going to start it with doesn't want to do it anymore. He's like, dude, you wanted to use that name? And I was like, dude, I love it. Let me run it by the guys. And that was kind of all she wrote, how Betray with a Kiss turned into With Blood Comes Cleansing. shortly after that, we toured maybe a couple more times, maybe one more time under With Blood Comes Cleansing before some of the members started leaving. And then we got in Scott, who's not with us today, our other guitar player.
Oh, he's still alive.
He's still alive.
No, rest
Okay.
in
He's
peace.
not with us today in this interview.
Yeah, the way you
Don't
said
let-
it, we were like, oh no, is this news?
Yeah,
Breaking it right now. Podcast there.
He's still very much alive, hanging out with his son right now. But no.
Well, now we know what one of your plugs is.
Right. Yeah. But no, he's me, him, and his little brother Spence played with a couple other dudes from Betray with a Kiss. Then our singer Dean left, and then Michael came in the band, and that was probably the start of when we really started doing more. We got signed to Blood and Ink Records off of some MySpace stuff with Michael and me and Scott and Spence. And too long after that, Spence left, right, Michael?
Yes. Spence and John were kind of, when we were on the road, being ready to go. And
yeah. And then, man, we've had so many members over the years. We've had other bass players.
Then I called it quits right in that ballpark. Honestly, the way that turned out, like when we did touring, like, and I talk to bands now, they're like, when you guys did it, it was when it was rough. Like it was like we didn't have smartphones, we didn't have GPSs. I mean, we were using maps. We were making no money. You're barely eating. You're in a van with people with all different personalities, and eventually you all start to hate each other, even though you've been best friends forever. It just gets to that point where you're just like kind of burnt. And I think it had taken its toll on a couple of us, and we were just like, man, we're gonna hold you guys back if we stay, and you guys need to keep going. So I think Dean came in right after that. Like he was ready to come start playing music again anyway.
Right. You and Spence and John kind of all left right around the same time. So Scott and I were like, okay, well, we don't want to stop. We want to keep going. So we found another drummer. Dean, our original vocalist from back in Trade with the Kiss, came back, and we found another bass player. And then, we kept touring, kept writing music, and ended up writing horror and signing to Victory Records from some of our old friends at Day to Remember helped with that. And here we are now.
Just name drop like that. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well,
they were from Ocala. They were from Ocala, Florida, and us being at that time, most of that from like down there in that southern Georgia area, we played with each other so much in local shows, and things like that. We played a lot together. So
we first played with them in Oklahoma. That's where we met those guys, and we kind of hit it off with them.
So I'm most obsessed with this Georgia and in whole southern United States scene that you guys are a big part of, especially when it comes to Christian influenced music. Every band we've talked to has had a completely different experience, it seems like. I'm curious what your guys' experience was in those, I would say 2004 to 2008 or so in that scene, because it sounds like you guys were some of like the progenitors of like helping other bands out, or at least like showing the ropes or something like that. Just from what they say. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on it.
Just by the way, because Cullen is from the north, anybody, like if there's a band that even has one band member that's south of the Mason-Dixon line, he asks this question.
I do. Well, it's just strange to me that so many great Christian influenced metal bands came from the South.
Well, we're the Bible Belt, right? Like,
yeah, totally.
A lot of us just grew up Christian. Not all of us stayed Christian. So happened we did. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's weird to hear that we took bands under our wings. I didn't see it that way. I don't know if Michael did, but I didn't.
No, to me, like it's just like we were all set. Like when you're in that scene, we were all going to the same shows together, like either Birmingham or Atlanta or any of these places where you knew friends in all those different areas. So you were always hanging out with those people outside of even playing shows with them. Just it was like a brotherhood, no matter what. Like you saw them, it was always like hugging each other's necks, like happy to hang out, like just good bro time. And I felt like maybe in their minds it was like, oh, we're doing something for you. But like in our minds, we're like, we don't really have anything to offer. We're just like, cool, let's all play shows together. We love each other. This is fun,
I guess uniquely about us is that I guess we were kind of more deathcore before there was that word. Maybe that was what was different. But I mean, Christian metal bands have been around since the '80s. So we
Yeah,
were nothing
totally.
new as far as Christian heavy metal goes. But maybe we were the first ones to try to maybe really put it together with hardcore influence, because a lot of our influences or my influence was like Dying Fetus and Hatebreed, Throwdown and the Black Dahlia Murder, and things like that. So I was really trying to mix those styles together, so maybe that was unique at the time, especially for a Christian band.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about the rest of you guys? We've heard from a couple members here. I'd like to hear from some other people a little bit more.
Well, I'm kind of I'm Crane. I'm another Michael, but they just call me Crane. So I have known these guys for, do we say, well, easily over 15 years, easily.
Yeah.
I knew, I mean, back in Betray with a Kiss days, I'm from Albany too. And what's funny is they brought up Spence, the drummer from the Golgotha album. I'm actually up in Nashville now. And I actually spent some time with Spence yesterday, which was amazing to see him. Hasn't changed. I grew up with these guys, and I was in another band. I'm not going to say it, Jeremy, the heavier band, but
second heaviest band out of Georgia.
Okay, finally, I didn't have to say it. Cool.
Second heaviest band from Georgia.
So, us and with Blood, we're just taking turns wearing the crown of heavy from Georgia, but we did a lot of shows with those guys, and not only outside of that. I mean, we'd be on the road, they'd be on the road, we'd be headed different directions. Me and Scott, we talking on the phone at like 3 a.m. because we were the night shift drivers in the two bands. But those guys have been like family to me forever. Even me and Jeremy were hanging out when music wasn't happening with us both living in Atlanta. And then Sasser was kind of talking about Furnace Fest, and we messaged a little bit on like Instagram about it, and he's like, "Hey man, Furnace Fest coming up," and here we go. All of a sudden, the With Blood thing kind of starts creeping up, and then Jeremy gives me a ring, and he's like, "Hey man, so we're kind of want to do this thing. We'd love you to be a part of it." And I was just like, I was starstruck, man. Like, you got to think, like a band that not only were my friends, but I loved the music. And to be around a group of guys that have the same Christian beliefs that I do too is like still important, because in the world now, people are getting stretched in different directions, and to be in a group with like-minded beliefs and your brothers, it's like a really special thing. So now, what we've done essentially is we took the heaviest band and put him on bass, and then in the second heaviest group. So now we finally got this who's the heaviest under one roof. So we don't have to argue no more. So it's been great.
He's finally in the heaviest band. We allowed it.
Yeah.
No, actually, Crane. So Crane, you're from like that Albany region area. So
229, baby. 229.
Yeah. So that area is where Scott lives, but also Chasing Victory was in that area. That's kind of like when we were all like together hanging out. It was always in the Albany area. We all play shows there. Chasing Victory was just south of there. We were always kind of doing, and those, it's just when they talk about us having like groups in the South where we always hang out, that's kind of, you're always with these people. So they become like brothers.
So why do they all see you guys as Big Papa? I'm just curious about that.
That's because Jeremy was lifting weights like that.
It's actually that is shocking to hear you say something.
I don't
know. I have no idea.
I think maybe because I'm old. I don't know. Like
maybe I was going to say maybe we're the oldest, but I don't think we are.
Well, I don't know, Jeremy. Are we the oldest? Maybe me and you were, because when we started going on the road, like in those early 2000s, I mean, Spence was still in high school. Like he was homeschooled, and his parents were like, "Hey, you're taking what was Spence, 16, 15 or 16-year-old son out on the road for 300 something days this year. Just make sure he's alive." And I'm thinking, I'm only like 23, 22, like I'm supposed to watch out for this guy.
He's fine. He didn't die. He's fine.
Yeah. And that, I mean, at that point, those kids, I mean, Spence, like, I don't know, he'd ever eaten anything besides a chicken nugget. I'm like, what do I do with this guy?
But then like Zach, right? Like you were a friend of Vic's and everybody who we played with you guys in another band, the time. Right?
Yeah. Tell them that. So I'm the newbie, so I started. I haven't been with the band for a year, So I can't remember exactly when I tried out, but it was towards the end of last year. And we would the band I was in, Longstreet, just a local band, we would open for Wood Blood, and I always just thought they were just so cool, and like to receive support locally from any other band was great, and they were always just so good, so heavy, and but just so like nice, and I always appreciated that. Like they were never like, oh, like you guys are these not great bands, so we're not going to talk to you, anything like that. They're always just super cool dudes. So one of our mutual friends actually gave Jeremy my number,
Tank.
and yep, Tank Dunkerley, and so Jeremy called me. He's like, "Hey man, like, Tank said, we remember, each other from the past, and want to see if maybe you want to try the drums thing." And I was like, "Man, I'll give it a whirl, dude. Like, I'm a hardcore drummer. I'm not like a death metal drummer. So like all this speed and all that stuff, I was like." And still, like they give me a hard time about it all the time because, like, it's just tough.
Are you
Okay,
giving him a hard
it's
time?
just tough. I mean, it's like nonstop. It's like they got no other material but that one, which is fine.
It's fun, Joe.
No, I get it. I love it. I love it. But yeah. So yeah, tried out, and now I'm in the band, and it's been great. So.
And
It is kind
honestly,
of a dream come true. Like I agree.
Jeremy wrote me, was like, I'm going to take this guy to lunch. We're going to go meet Zach, which I knew Zach's old band. So I knew I'd met him before. Like I knew who he was, but they not super close or whatnot. But Jeremy came back and Crane, and they were like, look, there are plenty of drummers we can go out there and get. We can put it out there. Hey, we're going to go get a metal drummer. But they're like, this guy is the most genuine, like coolest, nicest dude you're going to meet. And I was like, dude, done. Put him in. I'm like we want a guy that like represents who we are as people and what we believe. Like at the end of the day, when we get done playing a set, I don't need the guy that is super cocky and yeah, he might be the fastest drummer in the world, but he's, like he doesn't represent who With Blood Comes Cleansing is. And Zach did that. So we were like, yeah, he's the man.
Zach, you won him by personality, not by drumming skills.
Yeah,
and he also won us by getting stuck in your car.
I'm just kidding.
He won us by getting
stuck in your
technology
car?
skills.
Yeah.
Zach don't know that we run tracks in the PA. He just can't hear it.
Ain't no way y'all play.
Man, I'm really feeling
He's
out.
really a good air drummer. They just.
So I think this is like indicative though of like why a lot of bands that came out of Georgia, a lot of the heavier bands, and certainly like Cullen mentioned, like the Christian influence bands, probably see you guys as like, hey, With Blood is like a really important band for us, is because not because like you were like the biggest band coming out of Georgia or anything. It was because you guys are just like cool people that like you can just like hang out with. And that goes a long ways for especially younger bands that are like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I'm just showing up to this show and I'm playing. And you guys are like, hey, let's just like hang out and like let's be cool. But you like it is very clear already just from this interview, like you guys were that band even 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like where you're just like, you're super cool and you just like wanted to hang out with people and you wanted good hangs. And it wasn't about like trying to be better than this other band or whatever. Like it was just, hey, like we're all in this
Just
together
having
and we want to be
Right.
really cool people with one another.
But there were bands like that to us, to Jeremy and I, and all of us, growing up that we met, that we looked up to or went and saw shows, and the ones that treated you that way, like you remember those bands forever. You're like, man, I had some of the best times just hanging out with those guys. And then the ones that did not, you're like, man, I kind of wrote them off, like, you still like their music, but you're kind of like, man.
For us, a lot of the music was our vehicle to tell people about our message, right? Like that was the music and the show and everything. It was kind of secondary, right? To being able to connect with people. You put forth an effort, right, to be out there, be available, to be positive, to have a smile on your face, to greet people, and to be nice to people, because you don't know what their day's like, right? They could have had a terrible day at work or at school, and it's just, man, I'm beat down. I just can't wait to go see these bands play tonight, and I want to forget for 3 hours, and that was our moment to just kind of be there for people, talk, be friendly, be friends. And yeah, just hang out. That's what it was really about for us, is hanging out and making connections with people all over the country.
Yeah. So that brings me to this question then. What was the impetus to bring With Blood Comes Cleansing back from the dead, or seemingly the dead?
Technically, I mean, I think the
Vinyl?
vinyl might have helped with that. Yeah, I think the vinyl kind of got it started. So those guys reached out to us, wanted to bring back Golgotha on vinyl, and that kind of stirred up. You know, we had a text thread throughout the band for a while, and that kind of yeah. So there you
Look
go.
at
So
that.
the vinyl,
So
yeah.
beautiful.
So sick.
So that stirred it up, and then when it did well,
Oh, even
which I,
sicker.
you know, like,
Yeah.
so when those guys first were like, "Hey, we're gonna do the vinyl," and then told me how much money it was gonna cost them to put it up and whatnot, I was like, "Man, these poor guys, like, they are about to lose their money, man." Like, but hey, it's gonna be cool because I'm gonna get a copy of this, and I've been wanting one. Like, sweet, we're going on vinyl, you know. So I was like, at the end of the day, it's gonna be great. But when he wrote me and was like, "It's sold out in 1 minute and 40 seconds," I was like, "Wow, there's something to this." Like, and over between COVID and like all this stuff going on, like metal just started blowing up lately, man. It's just like
Yeah.
what bands are doing is nuts. They're crossing genre lines. It's like it's been cool. So that combined with talking with Crane online, like he was saying, we were having this conversation, and then I was like, well, you know, I know Chad. I've known him for years. You know, I was like, I'll just write Chad and be like, hey, would you ever want With Blood to do a reunion at Furnace Fest? And he wrote me back immediately and was like, dude, done. Like, I want this. And so they sent us a contract literally, but by the next day, I had it in hand and was
Wow.
like, hey guys, do y'all want to do this? And everybody's on the thread was like, yeah, let's do it. And that kind of stirred into wanting to, well, if we're going to do it, like, why don't we write some new music? And why don't we, you know, like make this, yeah, it's fun. We all have families, we all have jobs. That's cool, whatnot, but we all still have a creative side to us. And it was like, man, we can go bring back music. You know, we use this as a ministry. So like, it gives us a moment to go back out there and show people that, hey, With Blood still believes the same way that we did before. Like, we haven't changed. Like, yeah, we're all people, we're all human, we're all gonna make mistakes, but we're gonna show you God's love, and we're gonna go out there and kind of give you our message again after 15 years. And it's being received well. I mean, I think people are excited about
Yeah.
it. It's been fun, man.
You know, something that's always struck me as very interesting about With Blood Comes Cleansing is that it doesn't matter so much what a person's personal beliefs are. I mean, I know people who are agnostic or atheists that listen to With Blood, and they don't get hung up in a message that would be generally considered opposite of theirs. But if you were to ask them about almost any other Christian metal band or anything like that, they would say, nope, not even going to give it a chance. So, what do you think it is about With Blood that allows for that to happen? I mean, like, do you feel like you just have more cred than everyone else, or what's the deal there?
I think from my perspective, I think it's more of like a organic integrity. Be who you say you are, and be yourself. And you know, being around these guys, even back in the day, going to shows, and when With Blood, spreading the gospel and all that through their music, they were also the guys that said, "Hey, man, if you need us to pray for you after a show or before a show, like come talk to us." And like, I've been around them all the time, praying for different people and making that difference. And I think as far as the acceptance goes, it's just a big thing for us is like we love people. We're here to pass on love and be here for people and be that light in kind of a dark world. And I think that people feel safe and they're able to still feel connected to us as people too. So
And we just love open conversation. Like, whether you believe the same way or not, like, if you don't believe the same way, I kind of want to know why and like what your side is or what your thought is, because probably makes total sense to me. I'm like, Jeremy and I love theology, so we like to know like where you're coming from or why you like completely hate the church or why you hate God or like what do you know like. So we just get in those good, just open conversations with people, and it's organic and it's just a friendship. Like, it's not a judgment. It's not a, we're not here to point a finger. We're just here to, hey, this is what we believe. If you don't believe it, who cares? At the end of the day, we all love music and we can agree on that, right? So that brings people together, all races, all belief systems, like everything. It brings everybody into one room. And at the end of the day, like, whether you believe the same way or not, yeah, we're going to push our message. Like, we're going to put it out there. Like, this is what we believe. But at the end of the day, hey, we just all want to mosh and have fun. Like, let's all get together and get rowdy,
So knowing the music industry and knowing that you guys were a part of like the Face Down world with Blood and Ink with the first album, but then you guys moved to Victory, right, for the second album. Was there any sense of like, oh, we have to like change, or that we have to like kind of subdue some of these like overt beliefs that we have that we're very explicit about? Like, did you feel any sense in the music industry from changing from one particular kind of record label to the other record label, where it feels like one record label would be very embracing of like, oh yeah, like totally do what you guys are doing, like think of this as a ministry, whereas another record label, I could be wrong, but like seems as if they would maybe be like, I don't know so much about that part of your guys' music.
No, not really. We never got any pressure from Victory or anybody that worked at Victory to subdue our lyrics or change our lyrics or, hey, don't be so overtly Christian or evangelical or whatever you want to call it. And honestly, like, I don't know, like, this is just my opinion. No one ever said this, but at that time it was really trendy. And it was a market that Victory hadn't tapped into, so they're probably okay. Like, yeah, whatever, that's just more money. If Christians want to buy this stuff off this label, they give me your money, whatever. I don't know, but or maybe they just didn't care. But no, they never harassed us, pushed us, tried to change us or anything. They wanted, when I talked to some of the guys there, they wanted a really heavy deathcore style band on their label, and we fit what they wanted. So
makes sense. Did you enjoy it over there?
yeah, it was fine. No complaints really. Unfortunately, we didn't really stay on Victory very long. We signed to them, I believe, in around 2007. Which we were bought off of Blood and Ink, which we signed to in 2006, I believe.
6.
Yeah, and then we put out our album Horror in January, I believe, of 2008, and then by July of 2008, we stopped touring. We were pretty much done. So we were probably not really on Victory Records with a lot of publicity, at least, but maybe 6 months or so, 7 months.
Wow.
And during that time, they were very supportive of us. Everything was fine.
What caused the pause or the time there to say, hey, we're going to wait till 2023?
Just a slight pause.
Yeah. Well, so back in 2008, I think we were all kind of starting, just to get tired and get older and wanting to do other things. And, just a bunch of things just kind of coming together made us say, hey, we just don't want to do this anymore. And then we played a few shows with Michael, actually, and with Dean too. Probably in 2009, 10, 11.
Somewhere in there. We did a couple Scream the Prayer tours that were coming through. They asked us to do some spot dates. We did those. And then we did a couple like benefit
shows,
stuff.
to help raise money for different things or whatever.
We played with Showbread a couple times, a couple like churches, like local area. Yeah, like just a couple. Sweet. Just interesting, different stuff.
But yeah, so not a whole lot, after we stopped, just a few things. And then I guess we all started getting really busy. I started college late in my life, so I started doing that, and everybody else was moving away, doing their thing, starting businesses.
Going surfing.
Michael was going a lot more successful with his job and working a lot, so it's just
that's only recently, man. Yeah. But yeah, business.
So we just kind of, it was like we stopped and then kind of just faded out,
Dig it. So there is one question I have to ask, and this is because I know Mason wants to ask it, but he's probably trying to figure out a way to
about my mustache.
Not about your mustache. It's actually about Dean. And curious if you guys know this, but is Dean a professional ghost hunter?
He might be. I don't know.
I've heard that he is.
So Dean, like when we were traveling, he was always so funny. We would go places, and he always wanted to see the creepiest place. If there was like an abandoned, like insane asylum from like the 1940s or something, we had to try to see it. You know what I mean? Like he he loved that sort of thing. So I definitely
Did you go in
most
with
of
him
the
and
time
stuff
no.
like that?
Most of the time no.
Jeremy, we
Well,
went
most
out
of the
to
time
Lake.
means not every time.
Never.
I just got to say, I'm like obsessed with like paranormal stuff. I
Mhm.
have been for a very, very, very long time. And so anytime I'm like, oh, wait, there's somebody who like knows with like, like has like all the equipment to like capture like some sort of ghost, voice or whatever. I'm like,
Right.
I'm all about
He's
those
your guy.
people. They're my favorite people in the world. And I don't get to meet them very often. But
I think
you
Dean's your
probably
guy.
should bring Dean out to Furnace Fest, because the Sloss Furnaces are like known for being
They're
like
supposed
pretty
to be
haunted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what the lady told me. And I was in a thing, and
did
she was
not
telling
know
me
that.
that same thing. And I was like, oh, didn't know that. It's new news to me.
I personally have not heard seen or heard of anything, but that's also because like we're also there during a hardcore and metalcore festival where it's like you see creepy things all the time, and you hear creepy things all the time. So,
Right.
the chances of you seeing actually a ghost or,
Looking at the shed lineup, they better be careful where they're
They're
standing.
too
That's
busy
right.
moshing. They're too busy moshing, getting crowd
Could be
killed.
dangerous.
you never know. Well, I would love to talk with a ghost hunter sometime, but it is what it is.
Correct.
Michael, you're just a surfer, not a ghost hunter.
I don't have that to offer. Maybe a few other things, but not that.
But not that.
He can shred some gnar. That's all that matters.
Well, let's talk about Furnace Fest. We've already talked about a little bit about like how you guys, got into, the story behind you guys getting, invited to play Furnace Fest and everything. But fans are expecting a lot, I'm sure, because for most people, it's probably the first time that they've seen you guys for a very, very long time. What can fans expect at your show at Furnace Fest?
Hopefully, we'll be almost as good as we were back
Fire.
then.
Well, my idea got shut down. I want
No,
100-foot flames.
no. I want fire too.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
come on. Okay, so half the band wants to be Rammstein. That's all that matters. Let's
Yes.
well, actually,
Yes.
I got connected with the company that does Rammstein's fire show here in the US.
Make it
He's
happen,
trying to
man.
get pyro here.
Make it happen. Why not?
So without a barricade, it'd be a true Furnace Fest. So
Yeah.
I don't know who that falls on though for a lawsuit. So we might have to see. So
Well, I'm sure they've got insurance. You just don't tell them you're going to do it first.
what do you got setting up? Oh, those are speaker cabs. Don't worry about them. They're fine. Why are you hooking hoses to them? It's liquid cooled speaker cabs.
They get very hot, believe me.
But no, I mean,
But I think
hope people.
I think Jeremy said it best.
Yeah. Hope people have a good time,
Yeah.
and we got some new songs, some old songs, and hopefully it'll be a blast. Hopefully people can sing along. They still remember, and they'll have lots of opportunities for that. Hopefully it'll be heavier than they ever remember. And yeah, I know we will have fun. Hopefully everybody else will too.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a blast. Hopefully, if the stage is permitting, I'll do some stage diving and stuff like that.
Please.
I love me some with Blood Comes Cleansing.
That is awesome.
That said as well, I am curious about the new music and stuff like that. Is there going to be availability at all? Do you know, in physical at Furnace Fest?
Probably not, right? We talked about maybe doing something with another vinyl or something like that. But as far as new music goes, I don't think we'll have it available.
Hammer those guys a secret song. I've been trying to get that back.
Couldn't we just go and get like a sleeve of CDs, like old school, with a marker and
There you
for
go.
$1 a piece with the two new songs?
That's what we did at Cornerstone.
Just toss those out.
Yeah, I remember.
CDR time.
I remember going to balls in the cities before the shows and standing in front of Hot Topic and giving out our 2-song demos. Like, hey, we're playing at such and such bar tonight. Come see us.
Yeah,
hey, that's what we did at Cornerstone. We played generator stages and we passed out 2-song demos with our stuff written on that we did a couple nights before, just loading
Stayed up all night with my Toshiba laptop. It was like that big, just burning CDs.
It's cooking. It's going to need that liquid cooled nitrogen. I'm almost kind of surprised that someone hasn't done something like super gimmicky like that again, right? with like just handing out CDRs, because I mean they've done cassettes,
Maybe
and we're
we'll
doing
do that.
vinyls.
Maybe we'll do that.
People have been done like video
Yeah.
games and stuff like that. So why not just do some CDRs like it's 2008 again, 2006 again?
Well,
So
they
I think
took
I
our
got it.
CDR and they put it back on CD recently. So the Dern EP, which Jeremy was talking about prior to going to Blood and Ink, like that was kind of what we had up on like Pure Volume and MySpace, and that we toured on, prior to ever doing Golgotha. Like that's probably why the with Blood thing feels so long. Like we were road burning prior to ever
For a
recording that
long
record.
time, yeah.
So yeah, I mean they brought back the CD and it did well too. It sold out too, man. It's kind of crazy. It was like a niche thing for vinyl and CDs, and
Yeah.
We're gonna do a CD burn and then get a free like 100 minutes of AOL disc that comes with
I
every.
just feel bad because all those people bought CDs, but they have nothing to play it in. It's like
Yeah.
Zach, you could
So-
use that for
They
your
gotta get in their car
car.
and they're
You
like,
could use
"Oh."
a little
Yeah.
AOL internet for your car.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Something.
For nostalgia's purposes, I feel like the album has to start off with a dial-up tone.
Side
Mom, get off the phone. I'm on the internet.
I'm an AOL instant messenger. Hold on.
ASL.
I am. Man.
Well, we're looking forward to the Furnace Fest set. It's going to be so heavy. It's just like, it's a long time coming. So we're just super, super stoked. So with that said, I know top 3 is going to take a while, Cullen. So I think we should probably start at this point, right? So
Yeah, let's get
I already gave you a little bit of a little primer of this. So top 3 most influential artists for each of you. So I don't know who wants to go first. I think it probably would be best to go like top 3 for each one of you, so we're not like alternating in between each one.
Yeah,
so
otherwise people are going to forget.
Top 3 albums or artists?
Top 3
albums.
Albums. Okay.
Yeah.
Now remember, these are albums that changed you as an individual, whether that be musically, the way you look at the world, the way you look at yourself, anything that has changed you in particular. All right. So who wants to go first?
Oh,
all
Zach.
right.
Zach's in.
Yeah. I'll say Beloved, Fail Your Own.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Great call, man.
Norma
How are you gonna do
Jean.
that?
Norma Jean.
Oh no, we gotta stick with Failure On for a second. All right.
Okay. All right.
Like say a thing about Failure On, because this is one of my favorite albums of all time. So you have to at least say something about it.
Joe Mustin. That's all I gotta say. I mean, seriously, like honestly, that's what changed like the way, like, because I did like a little bit of vocals a long time ago, like when I played drums, and like he was just like the coolest like dude, like being able to like play the breakdowns, scream while he's playing. It was so cool, and to see it live was even better.
So you did see them at Furnace Fest too?
No, I didn't see them at Furnace Fest. I saw them at Swayze's.
Okay.
Years ago, probably like 15 plus years ago, and then they played some festival down in Villa Rica, and like Cool Hand Luke was there.
Oh wow,
it was crazy. So
wow,
I saw him at Furnace in the early 2000s.
Wow. Yeah, Failure On is one of my favorite albums of all time. I still remember years ago, Cullen and I were driving somewhere, and I looked at Cullen and I said, "What's your favorite song of all time? Not favorite album, not favorite artist, just favorite song. Like the song that you're like, this just has everything I love about music." And Cullen, I don't remember what it was. I probably was like some sort of Beatles song or Who song at the time.
Yeah.
And maybe it's different now. I don't know. But for me, and to this day, and this was years ago when I told Cullen this, my favorite song of all time is Death to Traitors by Beloved.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
Death to Traitors.
It has everything I love about music. It is so fucking good. So anyway, unbelievable album. One of my favorites of all time.
I agree.
I agree with that.
Norma Jean, Bless the Martyr. Kiss the Child.
For sure, man.
Of course.
For sure.
Of course.
That when the first song in that album, the like I learned that whole part on drums. Like I had to learn. I don't know. It was just that's what kind of got me into like the offbeat type stuff on the drums. So
yeah. Daniel Davis
really
is my all-time favorite drummer, and I think that is the easiestly earned title for him ever, because he's so creative in the way he does things.
Yeah, like Ludacris. Did y'all ever listen to them?
Before
Norman Jean. Like I love that album too. but that's
Yeah.
an honorable mention.
Throwing myself.
And then do what?
Throwing Myself was the album, right?
Yeah,
By
Yeah.
Ludacris.
yeah, love that album. And then
Ludacris was first doing it. They were selling their CD out of brown paper bags with their name written on it. Remember that, Jeremy?
Yeah,
Did you go with me to that show at the train tracks in
I didn't. I
Opelika?
wish I did, but I didn't.
Oh,
No.
yeah, they played in a room in a train tracks with literally like one light bulb hanging from the ceiling, and it was the most gnarly thing ever.
Man, I
There
didn't.
was maybe 30 of us in the room, you know?
Man, they
Alabama.
just invited the light bulb when they were doing that.
Pretty much, yeah. It was like, is this terrible like
Josh
old room in
Scoggins,
downtown
Edison.
Opelika, Alabama, and like
my goodness.
30 kids packed into the sweaty room together watching Ludacris.
I don't know what it is about that image that you just created in my brain, but it is so romanticized. Like I want
Yeah.
to experience
Yes.
that right now.
Yeah, those you can't take those memories away.
Yeah,
It's
I don't want to
pretty
see
awesome.
Norma Jean at like some club that is like a 500 cap room or whatever. I want to see
Yeah.
Norma Jean in a youth group room with 30 kids.
Right.
Yeah, it's an
Exactly.
experience, man. Cool.
Totally.
All right, Zach, last one.
Under Oath. What is the name of that one?
Which one?
We chasing safety.
It's got yeah, they're only chasing safety. That's it. No, not that one. No. Yeah, Changing
Define
Good
that.
Times.
Or Cries of the Past.
Not
Yeah.
Cries of the
Or
Past.
Disambiguation.
Or
No.
Acts of
No.
Depression.
Changing Good Times. Changing Good Times. The one that's got When the Sun Sleeps on it. I couldn't think of the name of the album.
Yes.
But
Times.
yeah, that song. I love that song. So
Yeah.
Those
That
guys are
whole
good
album.
dudes too, man. Chris came to a couple of our shows in Douglasville, the 7 venue, and that dude's so nice.
He's the nicest guy.
One of the nicest guys I've ever met, man.
Yeah.
Genuinely like some of the greatest dudes. We actually have interviewed Dallas a couple times, and it's so
Yeah, we
cool to
love
hear
Dallas.
some of those like early days of Under Oath, and and Under Oath played when the sun sleeps for the first time in like almost like 18 years
Yeah.
at Furnace Fest in 2021. It was so cool.
That's awesome.
With Dallas,
Without
Not with Dallas. Dallas played the
Okay.
next year, so Dallas played last year. But
Yeah.
Under Oath
Yeah.
played When the Sun Sleeps in 2021, and Spencer obviously was screaming. But it was like the first time they had played the song since like 2003 or 2004. It was like right when Spencer began playing with
Yeah.
Under Oath. So I mean,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like years and years and years since they played that song together.
The crowd completely lost it. It was awesome.
I bet.
Yeah,
It was
such a good
a
song.
cool moment, and especially like no one really knew how like Dallas was really doing at that time, like,
Right.
and it was one of those things
Yeah.
where it's like
Yeah.
just like supportive Dallas, and it was a really cool moment.
That's awesome, man. He's killing it right now.
Totally,
man.
yeah.
These are
God.
Bailey's rolling,
just
man.
on
I
fire.
actually got a buddy here in Jacksonville that played with him recently. He jumped on a couple shows with him. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
They're great. All right, who wants to go next?
I guess me, man.
Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right,
Mike,
let's hear
Mike
it.
won.
And I was gonna say Failure On, but because Zach did that, I'm gonna have to go
Beach
the Running
Boys.
EP.
Oh, okay.
So, Beloved though, Beloved definitely, man. The Running EP, I love that.
Is that the
album.
one with
First
Kiss
I
It
had.
Goodbye?
That's Kiss It Goodbye, man. That's such a good album. I mean, they kind of bridge that melodic to hardcore genre better than anybody, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Joe, like they said, as a whole, just genuinely one of the nicest dudes I've ever met,
Gosh, love that.
So trying to get that Joker to come do some guest vocals with me at Furnace Fest. So throw that out there.
If
Make
you're
it
listening,
happen.
Joe, if you happen
Make
to
it
be
happen.
listening,
Well, so Advent's playing, I think, a pre-show. It got announced. So Mike's a buddy of mine and Jeremy's too, from Advent. So yeah, good dudes, man.
So you can make it happen.
And then I'm gonna have to go Living Sacrifice Reborn.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, there we go.
Reborn. All
Because
right.
that's the first Christian metal record that really kind of after going to see them live during that time, like when they were putting that album out, it kind of changed me wanting to do music. So I went and saw Living Sacrifice, Linkin Park before they were popular. At the time, they were like nobodies. POD, Project 86, and Blindside in Birmingham.
When you said that, your mustache, it actually started to get like a curl.
Just
in
curled
it.
up. So no, just an amazing time in music and with those bands in that genre. Drawing Black Lines was just coming out for Project 86, so they were about to tour that album. So they were playing it probably one of the first nights they were playing it. And Chris Cargill from Chasing Victory and I went. And we met Christian early. We got to the show earlier than we thought the doors were opening, and he wound up just hanging out with us. And he was like, "Hey, if you want to come," he was like skateboarding in the bag. He's like, "If you want to come get a coffee with me, we'll just hang out." Just genuinely kind dude. So yeah, just a cool show.
I can't imagine that. Like, what was that? Living Sacrifice, Project 86, Linkin Park.
Linkin Park.
Who else again?
Blindside.
Blindside.
Yeah,
That's got to
all
be
in one show.
That's got to be one of the coolest shows ever.
I think I still have the banner from that tour because I took it, one of the flyers from the show. I think I still have it away in like a box. But yeah, just a cool show.
That's a bunch of juggernauts right there.
Yeah, so that album like kind of like catapulted me into Christian like metal and like wanting to like do it as a. I was like, dude, I want to do music like this. Like I kind of started practicing screaming off of those type of albums from that time, and that's kind of when I figured out, oh, I think I can actually do this kind of stuff, you know, like, yeah. So that, and then I'm going to go, there's a lot of early Zayo records I love, but I'm going to go self-titled. It's the album that kind of is the weirdest one that, because I think they weren't even like together when they did it. I think each person went in the studio and did their part, and
they were gone.
It's a very electronic. I think the whole album was done on electronic drums, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But I just love that album. I don't know, man.
It's killer all the way through. I mean, you really can't go wrong with the Zayo record in general, but that one I would not have expected from you.
No, yeah. So that's I'm gonna go there. I mean, of course, there's a million other records I could throw out of just being my favorite albums, but those kind of like was like the push to being like, this is why I want to do music. Like seeing those albums live, and after having them and going to see those shows with those bands, I was like sold. I'm like, this is what I want to do.
That's killer.
Yeah. So,
all right, who's next?
I'll take this one. So I catch a lot of slack because my music taste is like a lot different than everybody in With Blood. It's like they always are like, you know, these guys are like, oh man,
that Taylor Swift stuff again.
Yeah. So like the ongoing like laughing storm for me is like, I'm 38, right? I turned 39 soon. I go to shows. I'm like, I'm not moshing tonight. I'm not moshing. Somebody hits me, and then I just want to level a crowd. That's where I'm at in life. I was always the mosh.
You're the power lifter, though, right? You should be just like holding the fort down in the mosh pit.
So I still
he clears the pit pretty quick.
I did during the barrier dance at Norfest. I looked up and I said, "Where'd everybody go?" But so kind of 3 quick albums, and that's like a horrible question to ask. I love that you're asking this. But that's like the worst to ask too. You're like, it's like a Grammy nomination. Like, you know, I want to thank my mom, and I want to thank. But on Broken Wings, it's all a long goodbye album. So mosh band right at their grip. Brood of Vipers by 7th Star.
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk them into a reunion. I'm working on it.
You're starting to see the trends here. Every band's 2 steps and breakdowns only. And then as far as like musicianship for me, something that one of those albums that I can tell you every guitar note, every kick drum, every snare, every vocal cue. Probably the Malice album by Through the Eyes of the Dead.
Oh wow, dude!
So it's always the heaviest stuff for me. I never.
Yeah, this is 2-step as it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. That's what I'm saying. Everybody else is always like, oh man, you know, we love this band and we love this hardcore band. And I was like, all right, so once I start listening to mosh music, that's all I listen to now. But, you know, it's okay.
You got to love it.
All right, Jeremy,
great list.
Let's hear it.
Gosh, this is so hard, right? Like, probably young Jeremy being most influenced in music, starting to find my own music, probably Blink-182, Enema of the State.
Okay.
That album, I remember sitting in my room on my 3-disc CD changer and just listening to it nonstop, and it would start to shift and I would start over. And it's just over and over on repeat for so long. Like it was, I happen to be wearing the shirt right now, but it was just something that was really awesome to me. Like it was a time in my life to where I really started finding my own music, things that I liked versus like what I guess I just listened to with my parents. You know, I grew up in a very religious household and, you know, and we kind of listened to Carmen or whatever. Right. And that was some of the first stuff that I started. So that was a big moment in my life.
Satan bites the dust, man.
Right. Carmen's house.
This is not a safe place to diss Carmen, clearly.
Not man. Hey,
Uh,
that dude had some wicked videos, man.
Wicked is one way to put it. Yeah.
And then, I've been going back and forth. There's two other bands that are really, really influential in my life, and I guess I'll probably say Norma Jean, because they were one of the first like metal bands I ever saw live, and that was probably when I knew I wanted to do music. Right, so that was a big part right there. You know, so it was like I got to see this band. I got to see them live. It was my first metal show, and I listened to it probably nonstop. You should ask Chris from Chasing Victory, if you talk to him again, how much that CD stayed in my CD player in my car. It never came out. It was always on. Anytime he rode with me, it was all I listened to. For
which record was it?
Oh, at that time it was Bless Martyr, Kiss the Child.
Bless Martyr.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That was that album. And honestly, that's the only album by them I know. I
Really?
don't know. Yeah, I knew some of the Ludacris stuff that Michael was talking about earlier, but nothing after that. That was the one. That,
May I recommend
really
listening to every single album since
Sure.
Bless the Martyr as well.
I'll definitely give it a shot.
It is so good.
It was a point in my musical taste where like I liked it then, but the style they are now is like I appreciate it. It's definitely cool. It's definitely heavy, but it's not what I listen to on a daily basis, right?
Sure.
And then I guess my last one, which is my favorite metal band of all time, is Dying Fetus. Their album Homicidal Retribution, that influenced so much of Golgotha and my writing, and it still does today. Reign Supreme, their album, I just love it. I love all of them. I love John Gallagher, his vocals, his guitar playing. They're the heaviest band I've ever seen in my life. They played Vader Cabs is one of the reasons why With Blood wanted to play with Vader Cabs. It was just a huge influence on Scott and I both, to be honest with you. So that for probably a band that affected With Blood more than anybody else.
That's amazing. That's such a in my view, it's exactly the band I would have imagined to be influencing you guys. The rest of these are all great. There's not a bad band here, and not a bad album here. So great list, guys.
We can drop plenty of death metal on you, but you're talking what kind of early influence on us,
Yeah. I would be pretty skeptical if your first major influence was a death metal band. Now, maybe for some of your guys' kids.
I want to go honorable mention here because they just brought it up, but Throwdown's coming back to do Haymaker, and that
Throwdown
is going to be incredible.
It's going to go wild in there. It's going to go out.
Jeremy and I listen to that album so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if you want to talk about like top 3 With Blood Comes Cleansing influences, Dying Fetus, Black Dahlia Murder, and Hatebreed. That would be the top 3 for sure.
Hatebreed is definitely one I am. I'm like giddy like a schoolgirl when it comes to Furnace Fest year. Going to see them. I haven't had a chance to see them ever.
Stage with them is I can't believe it. It's like it blows my mind. I know it's.
But if you were in a With Blood van after a show, we were listening to Frou Frou or Frau Frau, Imogene Heap, Amber Lynn, or 3-6 Mafia.
Reliant K, Acceptance.
Reliant K.
What up?
We were like, man, all right, something not metal.
Yeah, you gotta really, kind of take it down a notch after that, I suppose, huh?
Yeah.
Right.
All right, sweet. Well, let's get into plugs. What do you guys want to plug? You guys have a lot of stuff going on right now, which is crazy to think because I'm sure 3 years ago you never would have thought you would have had a lot going on when it came to the band, but now you do. So tell us what you got going on, where we can find stuff, so on and so forth.
So we got Furnace Fest, of course, coming up.
Yep.
Friday 22nd. So we'll be there doing that. Crane, we're playing in Dallas, right?
Dallas, Monster Mosh. We're going to be playing with Suicide Silence, Carnifex, Sons of the Swarm. That's a Mike Zimmer production with Third String Productions. Those guys they kind of play a hand.
Another good dude.
Yeah, they play a hand in Furnace Fest and a bunch of big shows. I mean, Third String Productions and Zimmer and those guys. If there's a good show that's going on now, I'm pretty sure his hand's in it somewhere. Him and his team.
It's crazy how he's involved in all that stuff now.
He is. That dude is working like a freight train on everything.
Yeah.
So
Nuts.
we really appreciate
He's
him.
gonna have to take a vacation at some point.
Him and everybody at Furnace Fest, they've really done just an amazing job putting these shows together. We're very thankful for everybody's hard work that's made all this happen. It's very special for us.
But
I mean, yeah, definitely. We like to plug our social stuff. We got a link that goes to our merch.
yeah, online merch.
Our new songs that are on all platforms. Of course, we got 2 new singles out, so
Yeah.
we want everybody to go listen to that if you hadn't.
What about the rest of the album? Or is there a rest of an album? Is it an EP, or is this, or are we just trickling out a bunch of singles and having fun with it as we go along?
That's probably the most accurate.
Okay. You know what?
Yeah.
That's not a bad way to go these days. And if you guys keep making quality songs like I've heard thus far, I think we'll be okay. You'll keep the masses satisfied.
Yeah, I think that's the goal. I think that's the goal.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I love it. Anything else you'd like to plug?
Yeah. I don't know if anybody's gonna know this, but we were contacted for season 2 of Outer Banks, the TV show. And if you go to episode 3, I think the episode was called Prayers, you can hear our music in the background. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a niche thing. Like, we get, people on Instagram will write us in. The people that catch it are just freaking out about it. But I don't think it's just going viral yet. But yeah, it's pretty.
Is it like the type of situation where the character's listening to you, or is it like it's part of the soundtrack?
It's part of the soundtrack, background, music. They kept it lower, so you probably don't notice it right out of the gate. But if you really listen, you're gonna be like, wow, with blood.
When I think of Outer Banks, the first thing I think of is With Blood Comes Cleansing. So it does make sense to me.
I mean, yeah.
Wow. All right. Any other things to plug?
Can I do a plug for people who still care about us as a band? That's
yeah,
really
totally.
Cool.
Some gratuities.
It blows my mind to see the response that we've gotten. And man, I personally just thank you. It's really cool to see. It's super awesome. Thank all of you guys for still listening to us. And I just can't tell you how much it means to me. It makes my day when you guys write us up on our Facebook or our Instagram or something like that. It can really turn a bad day really good. So we appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, thank you guys for coming on. And this is an episode I was very excited that you guys reached out to me. I don't generally get that. I've been a With Blood fan forever. So to hear you guys, this active is just wonderful to see. I'll take any more that you're going to give. So thank you guys for coming on. This has been wonderful. Very, very excited to see you at Furnace Fest for the very first time for myself.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm just super excited.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's gonna be a blast, dude.
Sweet.
We can't wait to hang out and see you in person, man.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'll give you a big old hug.
I'm a fan of the podcast, so yeah, stoked on it, man.